Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast, brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVRealtor.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening on a Monday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. I got a couple of fun things that we're going to talk about today, and we've got a guest later in the program. Going to visit with Kristin Ludwig with a company called House of Nubs, and it's actually a kind of a cool story. She's got some children's books out based on a bird that she has, and it's a bird with a missing leg, I believe. Anyway, it's a bird that kind of has overcome some things. She's got these neat books, and it's been a really good learning tool for kids who have something happen where they, lose an arm or whatever. And it's been such a cool thing. So I'm looking forward to chatting with Kristin. Really been excited about doing this one. It's coming up later in the program, the House of Nubs. Hey, a Scottish man has won recognition as the fastest human in the world when it comes to typing a text message on a cell phone. Who
needs that skill?
Well, I would say I have a distinction of being the slowest person in the world. For sure. I am not a texter. I'm not good at that.
It's awful. It's painful to watch.
It's painful to do. It's not fun. Coming up, we're going to talk about a real-life Garfield. That is on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Get razors for $1 a month plus a few bucks shipping, so you can enjoy fresh razors every month for as little as $3. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.
Italy claims to have a real-life Garfield. I've got an image that I can share with you here in a bit. Ozzaro, I think is how you say it, is the name of the cat. And it looks kind of like the famous cat from the cartoon and the comics. It weighs in at how much do you think this cat weighs, Heidi? It's a chubby little
72
bugger.
pounds.
No, it's not that big. It's 37 pounds.
Wow, that's not all that
impressive. I think the average cat weighs like 10 pounds, though. Maybe even less than that. Ozzaro.
I'm not impressed.
Grew to gargantuan size by guzzling all the food treats that his native Italy could provide. The 3-year-old tabby cat is such a food fanatic that the owner, Laura Sanarelli, finds it impossible to get him to slim down. If you'd like to see a photo, I did post it on our Facebook page for our radio show. Go to facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. I found that the other day, so go check that out. It's a real-life Garfield. So that is kind of interesting.
You know what? I do have to say, I loved Garfield.
I did too.
When I was a kid.
Here's the thing. I liked Odie just as much.
Oh, yeah. I just
Odie
liked
was
the
just
show.
kind of happy, and Garfield was always so mean to Odie. And I was like, oh, we actually have a dog that reminds me of Odie. Miley kind of reminds me a little bit of Odie.
Yeah.
Just so happy all the time.
Mandy kind of reminds me of Garfield.
Kind of like Garfield, yeah. And Mandy's a dog, not a cat. All right, coming up, we've got an interesting story that has to be true because you'll hear it on the radio.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
Well, it's true because you heard it on the radio. What's the weirdest thing you've ever worn, Heidi?
Weirdest thing I've ever worn?
Yeah, have you ever worn anything weird, like anything that's just not a normal thing to wear?
Not that I can recall.
Bugs? Have you ever worn bugs?
No.
Well, 2 17-year-old jewelry makers from Cape Cod, Massachusetts are hoping that swarms of customers will want their latest creation, earrings and necklaces made from dead bugs. Catherine Maloney and Brad Cullen are selling jewelry made out of cicadas that swarmed in their town. There was a whole bunch of them. The town is called Sandwich. There were a bunch of them there in the Cape Cod area this summer, and they collected the dead cicadas, and they said, hey, let's make some jewelry out of these things.
Yeah, I don't think...
Because I think that's on everybody's wish list. What would you like? Well, I'd like, something really trendy. I'd like some fancy sunglasses. I'd like a nice polo shirt. And, of course, I'd like some dead bug jewelry. No, that's not on anyone's list.
You never know. I mean, there are certain groups that wear like belt buckles with scorpions in them and stuff. So who knows? It might catch on.
And like you said, who knows? Maybe they'll find a way to make them look really good. But I just still couldn't even imagine, because this is the kind of thing. If you give this as a gift, how would you give a gift of a dead bug without feeling really weird about it?
Right.
Hey, baby, I was thinking of you. And
I saw this and I thought of you.
I wanted to sum up my love for you as best I could. So
with a dead bug.
I found some jewelry made of dead bugs. Happy anniversary. Which anniversary is the dead bug anniversary again? 50th is the golden. I think it's the last anniversary. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
If
exactly
you give
what
that
it is. It's the last anniversary.
as an anniversary gift, it would be the last one, pretty sure. So there you go. Anyway, that is a true story. In Cape Cod, Massachusetts, they're making jewelry out of bugs. And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Also, something you're going to hear coming up in a bit, we're going to be visiting with Kristin Ludwig from the House of Nubs about some children's books and a really fascinating story. That's all on the way.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again?
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. If you're going to hide your stash of drugs, don't hide it right outside of a police station. You shouldn't have to be told that. Police say a 21-year-old man placed $1,500 worth of marijuana under a rock right outside of the headquarters as he was heading into Superior Court.
He probably figured hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, when Daniel Garcia returned 2 hours later, all he found was a note reading, "You are under arrest. Look up at the police station." There were 2 officers watching from inside. They went out and put him under arrest. His father could not believe the story and said his son claimed that the police planted the drugs.
Oh, please. Then why would he have gone out there looking for
Did they
him?
plant the drugs or did they plant the note? I think they did plant the note when he was looking for the drugs, but they planted the note in a very good way. So I think that's really kind of funny. Don't do dumb things, and we won't talk about you on the radio.
Wow.
And, you know, I always feel bad because we always talk about knuckleheads doing dumb things, but I got to quit feeling bad about it because they're the ones doing dumb things. So there you go. This has been your brain on drugs.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Now your moment of duh. Personal responsibility takes a back seat in the theater of today's moment of duh. From the "everyone is responsible for everything except me" file, a woman just won a lawsuit against Hoyt Cinemas in Australia. Are you ready for this, Heidi? Mm-hmm. Here's why. The theater did not put up a warning sign saying that the theater seats would retract when no one was sitting in them. She stood up and then tried to sit down again, missed the chair, and decided to sue because the seat folded. I don't exactly know what the damages were. She won the case. But this is really kind of a case of double dub because she didn't have a problem sitting down the first time. It was just when she got up and then tried to sit down again. So did she get hurt?
I'm sorry, that's not right.
And the thing is, I don't understand how did she get hurt? What happened?
No, she probably hurt her ego. She probably felt ridiculous.
And
but
she
if she
sued
knew
the
that she had
theater.
to pull the seat down to sit down the first time,
Spring-loaded.
she would have known that she had to pull it down again.
Every theater seat I've ever sat in.
Yes.
Let me take that back. Way back in the day when they were really hard wooden seats, those didn't. You'd fold those down, they'd stay down.
I've
and then you
never been
bang
in a
your
theater
shins
with
and knees
those.
on them. Yeah, those are bad. You don't want those. So this is crazy that she sued them and she won.
Whatever.
That's your moment of duh. Thanks for listening. Scoop of the Day is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
A Florida woman says she was shot in the leg while sitting at a cafe on the 4th of July, but didn't realize it until doctors found the bullet 5 days later. What?
Oh.
She explained that after days of pain from what she thought was maybe a firecracker, she went to the hospital. Doctor said, "You have a 38 bullet in your leg."
A 38? And she
Yeah.
didn't know?
She's like, "Oh, can you take that out?" A cat named Lumberbutt McCubbins is running for president. McCubbins is a 5-year-old neutered rescue cat. He's filed his paperwork with the Federal Election Commission. And he already has a better chance at winning than some of the other candidates.
He'll probably win.
For president of the United States.
Yeah, he'll probably
You think
win.
a
We got a
cat?
bunch of
No.
morons that
No.
cast votes in this state.
There's no way a cat's going to win. It's just they're doing it to be silly.
What if they let him into the debates?
And what is your response? Meow. Okay, thank you.
Which party is he running?
It doesn't say. I don't know, and I don't really care.
Because if it's one party, he's the front runner.
Would you just stop? Some Vermont residents are upset after a highway crew didn't take time to clean up a dead skunk before putting a yellow line on the road. So they sprayed over a dead skunk. That's just dumb.
I've seen pictures of that online where they they either
take a minute,
spray around a branch or over the top of a branch. That is hilarious.
The 2 seconds it takes to kick it out of the way.
It's not his job.
I suppose.
There's a rendering truck that's supposed to do that crap.
Scientists were shocked to find sharks were swimming in an underwater active volcano.
Oh.
Only a matter of time before
Sharknado.
Depending on the specific model, your car loses 1 to 2% fuel efficiency for every 100 pounds of extra weight in the car. That's a surprising amount that can really add up. Experts say cleaning the junk in your trunk can help. I think that has a double meaning. Could save you $35 a year or more in fuel costs. That's just cleaning out the junk in your trunk. And also maybe the stuff that's in your trunk, too. All right. A Scandinavian study suggests that getting drunk decreases the risk of violent behavior in people who have a strong tendency to suppress their feelings of anger when sober. So they're saying getting drunk increases your violent behavior? Really? You needed a study for that?
Only in people who suppress their feelings when they're sober.
Oh.
This is why I am a happy drunk, because
so is this why
I never suppress my feelings.
I suppress my feelings. This is why I don't drink. All right. New research suggests that a gene linked to wet, sticky earwax and excessive underarm odor may be an indicator of higher breast cancer risk. The Japanese study may give doctors another tool for predicting breast cancer. Researchers arrived at their conclusion by tracking a protein created by a gene called ABCC11. It's associated with breast cancer. The earwax and odor problems may become life-saving clues to early detection and treatment of breast cancer.
Really?
So, if you have a lot of earwax and excessive underarm odor, get checked for breast cancer more often. That's interesting. A recent report shows the number of full-time journalists on the Capitol Hill is down 40% since 2003. Do you think that's because we live in a wired society where you don't need as many?
I think it's because they're not getting the truth when they go there anyway, so why bother?
You think maybe people don't care as much?
They're just
sure. Anyway, down 40% since 2003. Hey,
they're not allowed to ask honest, pressing questions, and when they do, they get their butts chewed, so why bother going?
I don't know. A man in Canada returned a video game console to an electronics store. He came back to the store later and asked to fetch a .22 handgun that he left in the box accidentally. Police already had the pistol. Turns out the man was wanted in Chicago. They discovered $50,000 in stolen goods at his house. So he bought a game and had to put a gun in the box for whatever reason. When he returned the box, the gun was still in there. That's how he got caught. Duh, that's not smart. And our strange law from Pennsylvania. Any motorist who sights a team of horses coming towards him must pull off the road, cover his car with a blanket or canvas that blends with the countryside, and let the horse pass. If the horse appears skittish, the motorist must take his car apart piece by piece and hide it under the nearest bush.
Whoa.
I'm assuming this is a very old law. If that's not, I would like to get a horse and go prance around Pennsylvania. I'm like, this would be fun to watch.
Yeah, they might want to remove that law. That's
probably
a bit
an old
crazy.
Law. That's a strange law. And this has been your Scoop of the Day.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RoughToughKennels.com. Dog kennels and accessories sent to your front door wherever you live. Your dog deserves it. Learn more at RoughToughKennels.com.
Thank you so much for joining us on a Monday. I've got a special guest on the line, Kristin Ludwig from House of Nubs. How you doing, Kristin?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good. Now, House of Nubs is a very interesting name. You get to tell us right now why is the organization, it's a 501c3, but why is it called House of Nubs?
Yeah, you bet. The House of Nubs is named after a bird named Nubs. The organization was named for the bird. He is a handicapped bird with one foot and one nub who was rescued from the home of a bird hoarder, hundreds and hundreds of birds living in a very wild environment, but he survived that experience, and since then we've been using the story of his rescue and survival and his ability to reach out to people and take a new lease on life to inspire kids. So that is Nubs.
So Nubs had the opportunity to overcome some things, and I love the fact that you guys are utilizing this cute little bird as a teaching tool or maybe a learning tool for children, and they're able to hear stories about how they can overcome things. And along the way, you guys have put out a couple of books. Tell us about the first book that came out.
Yeah, the first book is called Nubs, a Little Bird with a Big Story, and that's the true story of Nubs and basically of him and me meeting and the rescue and all the things that he went through and the life that he's living today. It's a photography book for kids with an emphasis on kids' grades, kindergarten through 4th grade.
And then there's a second book that came out after that. What was the second book?
Yeah, our second book is called Remy, a Little Bird with a Big Imagination, and similar to the Nubs story in that this is also a bird that was rescued, but he kind of goes on a journey of the imagination in this book. And so there's a lot of artwork and a lot of really, again, really amazing photography, and it's a lot of creativity and imagining and having hopefulness for your future.
That's awesome. And then there's a third book that's available right now. It's just coming out. What is the name of the third book?
Yes, it's just starting to ship this week, and it is called Miles, a Little Dog with an Eye for Friendship. And it's about how two very different creatures can look very, very different, but sometimes even if you look very different from someone else, you can help them just by being their friend. So it's a lot about friendship.
And in this book, Miles is a puppy dog, and he befriends a rabbit, and that's a true story, right?
Yes, all the books are true stories, and they are all books about creatures who live in the House of Nubs, which is my home, and it's a place where rescued animals can get a new start at life.
And you go around and speak and do things like youth programs, and it sounds like a really fascinating thing where the kids get to see these little animals and they get to learn a little more, and it just sounds like a really cool thing that you did putting this House of Nubs together.
Thank you. Yeah, we do some live visits. We meet with foster kids or tornado survivors or any kind of groups of children that might need us. We do a lot of stuff online as well through our YouTube channel. So we have a House of Nubs YouTube channel where people can also follow our videos, and we have a web series on there as well. So really you could be anywhere in the world and enjoy Nubs, and we have fans literally all over the planet that are enjoying his stories and getting to follow their lives.
That's awesome. Now, what did you do before House of Nubs? Because you in 2012 is kind of when you and Nubs first met. What did you do before that prepared you for all of this?
Well, I'm a biologist by degree, and I have years of experience both in animal advocacy and animal rescue and training, rehabilitation work. And then I've been volunteering with children for many, many years. So I started more in therapy dog work, but I've been doing this stuff for a long time. And then I also have a background in marketing, and have been working in marketing in product development for a long time. So it all kind of came together to be able to do a blend of things that I'm fairly good at, but also things I'm very passionate about.
Well, it's really neat that you found a way. Before we were on the radio program, you were talking about how when you were with the kids, and the kids were asking questions about Nubs and the missing leg, and if he should be forgiving that person, and you realize that they're asking questions not so much about Nubs, but about something going on in their life. And it was so awesome of you to recognize that and realize that I can utilize this opportunity to help people, and you've capitalized on it. So, Kristin, thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been exciting to find. We really think we found a niche and kind of a gap in childhood education where, everyone in life is going to go through something hard. And so to have an animal role model, something that you look at as another creature that you're interested in their story, but also that you can learn a lesson from them, I think we see that resonate with children, and it's something that we all need as human beings, the ability to bounce back through adverse situations.
Very good. And the third book is available starting this week. They can get it. Where do I go to find a copy of the book, Kristin?
Well, they can find it through our website at houseofnubs.org, and they can also find it on Amazon.
Awesome. Kristin Ludwig with houseofnubs.org. Kristin, thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Definitely. And if you'd like to know more, go to the website and check it out, houseofnubs.org. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by carsforsale.com. If you're in the market to buy a car, truck, or van, find thousands of vehicles to choose from at carsforsale.com.
Today is a very special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Today is Monday, the 17th day of August, which is pretty cool. It's kind of weird that the month is already half over, and I'm still writing July when I write things, so this has been a quick month. But today is Black Cat Appreciation Day. You don't appreciate black cats, do you?
I don't appreciate any cats, but black cats especially make me nervous.
You've made me stop the car and turn because you're superstitious about crossing the path of a black cat.
I have. There's no sense tempting fate.
Oh, come on. All right, I don't believe in that superstition. I think God loves all creatures equally. I don't think that he dislikes black cats and has some spell on them or whatever. It's also Cupcake Day. That's how I'm celebrating. I can see if I can eat about 10 of those.
I would do a cupcake.
Today is also the meaning of is day. I think that goes back to the Clinton trial.
Depending
on what the meaning of the word is.
It's ridiculous.
And it's National Thrift Shop Day today. You love thrift shops.
I do love
My
thrift
wife
shops.
Is a bargain hunter. She loves to find a deal. As a matter of fact, she got a really good deal on me. I was a slightly used husband, been married once before.
That was coming.
And so I think that's why you
I
like
do
me.
love thrift shops
It's
very
such a deal
much.
on me.
Why pay full price?
Hey,
That's
go
all
out
I'm saying.
and celebrate by eating a cupcake at a thrift shop
There you go.
with a black cat.
No.
All right. Today is Monday. It is the 17th day of August.
This portion of the program is brought to you by StoneGroupArchitects.com. It's more than a building. It's design and function working together. Check out the project portfolio at StoneGroupArchitects.com.
Where does all the time go? We were just talking about the fact that August is already
is
halfway
darn
done. But let's talk about this. How many years does the average human spend doing mundane things? They're things that we all have to do. Not that you want to do, but you have to do. Like, let's talk about sleep. The average person spends 23 years of their life sleeping. 23 years. The average person spends 19 years working.
Okay.
They're leisure activities, things you enjoy. How much time do you suppose over the course of your whole lifetime? How much do you suppose?
First of all, I think the working, that number sounds low to me.
19 years?
Don't you think that sounds low over your lifetime?
Well, it does for us because we're idiots. We work all the time. But I think that for the average person they're talking about, not people like me, average people that work 8 hours a day, yeah. Leisure activities, 9 years. So you do less than half as much leisure stuff as you do stuff that you have to do. Travel, 7 years. Now, this isn't fair because they include your commute in there. That's not traveling.
Yeah, that's not
going
traveling.
to work. Put those things towards
that should
work.
be included with work.
How about eating? Think about how many times you sit down for a meal. How many years do you suppose over the course of your lifetime you spend eating?
Goodness, our family?
Yeah, what do you think?
Probably 200 and...
No, 6 years. The average.
There's
Heidi,
no
average.
way
6
that
years.
that is the average in the United
is.
States.
And illness. How many years do you spend sick? The average person spends
1.
3 years being sick over the course of their entire lifetime.
Does that include hangovers?
All of it? Well, no, probably not. If that's the case, it'd be
that must
13.
include hangovers.
All right. And personal care. What does personal care mean?
How much time do you spend showering?
Oh, yeah. So getting things...
Shaving. And...
You spend 2 years of your lifetime getting ready for stuff then. And how much time do you think people spend going to church over the course of their entire lifetime? The average person.
4 years.
No, 1 year.
Oh.
The average person. Now, keep in mind, you spend 23 years sleeping, 19 years at work, 9 years doing fun stuff, 7 years traveling, 6 years eating, 5 golden rings. No, that's not part of it. But you spend 1 year practicing religion in some sort. I think that almost feels like a ripoff. Something like that doesn't seem like a big enough number, does it? Shouldn't we be maybe a little more grateful for the guy that gives us all those years? Just thinking outside of the box for you there.
I don't know.
All
I
right.
guess
that's the numbers. So
I mean,
there you
it's
go.
one Sunday, so I mean, they're not saying how much time do you read your Bible. It was go to church.
It
right?
says religion, so I don't know. It doesn't just say go to church. So either way, there's your list of what we do with our lives. Get out there and have fun with yours.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVWheelator.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVWheelator.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
A polar bear attacked a campsite. That sounds weird in itself, but then it gets even weirder. He didn't take any food. He took toothpaste and vitamins. What? Typically, when you hear about a bear attack at a campsite, it's like a grizzly bear,
Right.
But this was in the Arctic, and a polar bear attacked a campsite. Now, here's the really weird thing. There was food all over the place, even some fresh meat hanging within the bear's reach, but he didn't take any of that. He made off with some toothpaste and some vitamin C. 14 tourists and guides from Norway, Sweden, and Italy came to the camp on the Arctic island of Spitsberg. Spitsbergen. There we go. Last week, they found this bear had knocked over their tents, bitten through a tube of toothpaste, sucked out the contents. Polar bears' teeth are often yellow, unlike their snow white fur. The bear probably wanted to, clean up those teeth for a date or something.
Well, you find the bear with the white teeth,
yes.
You found your culprit.
Exactly. And he also ate some vitamin C pills. Local experts say the bear was probably driven by curiosity more than anything, because they apparently like to try new things.
Well, hey, good for him.
Crazy. That whole story sounds made up to me.
It kind of does sound made up.
I think one of the tourists went back early. He's like, hey, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to pretend like I'm a polar bear. I'm going to tear this place apart, but I'm leaving all the food. This is what we do for fun over there in Sweden. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. All right, coming up, we've got a story about the stork. That's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by GunUp.com. If you're a gun lover, you'll be in heaven at GunUp.com. Built by experienced military veterans, shooting sports competitors, and publishing professionals. They have awesome stories and articles that are read by millions of gun enthusiasts. Check it out at GunUp.com.
When I was a child, I remember there were cartoons that would always show a stork bringing the baby, right?
Yes.
Never understood why that was exactly. And we just saw an animated short.
We did, which was adorable.
It was adorable, where there was a stork and a cloud. It was really, really cool.
Yes.
But maybe this stork is what brought this baby. There was a mother who gave birth to her fourth child without ever knowing she was pregnant. A baby girl, Helen Thompson, 35, thought she was just, maybe putting on a couple of pounds. Then she went to the hospital for stomach pains and gave birth. Again. She already had 3 other children. Once at the hospital, she gave birth to a 6-pound, 15-ounce Jessica. The doctors and nurses could not believe that she didn't know she was pregnant. She said, I had no plans for more children. I thought I was just putting on some pounds.
You hear that a lot.
So I think maybe I am pregnant. Looking at me, it looks like I am, but I'm a man, so that would be really weird.
Having been pregnant, I don't understand how that could happen.
I don't know.
But you hear about that happening a lot.
We know somebody that happened
to.
Yeah. And she had a baby, beautiful little baby, and it's. I think that's a miracle that can happen. But there you go. I think maybe what really happened is there was just a stork that brought it. That's what happened. Coming up in a moment, we've got 6 ways to save energy. I'm going to tell you all about that on the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. You can get razors sent to your door each month for just $1, plus a couple of bucks shipping. It's an amazing deal. Log on to dollarshaveclub.com/radio to learn more. That's dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Now, back to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
Got a little tip for you here to save some money. I've got 6 ways to save energy. This is from Women's Day. So if you already read this magazine, you can just shout along with me. You know what's going on here.
Okay.
Number 1, set your thermostat at 68 degrees during the day and 60 degrees at night. That's going to help you save some energy. Now, what is our thermostat set at?
Did you say 68?
68 during the day and 60 at night.
Okay. During the day, we're typically at 72.
Okay.
And then at night, we're
13?
60.
You like it cold. It's freezing in this house.
But 68 during the day, I think, would be too cold.
Next thing on the
list. And I don't know how that would help, because your house has to work harder to keep it at 68 than it would to keep it at 72.
I'm just telling you what they did. They did the research.
Think that it is flawed.
This is if you want a home energy audit, I'll tell you where to go to do all of that here in a bit. But it says, next thing on here, keep your lamps and TVs away from the air conditioning thermostat. The heat that's produced can cause your air conditioner to run longer.
I can see that.
Next, reduce trips to the refrigerator. Every time you open and close that door, 30% of the cold air can escape. Now, the way our kids do it, it's way more than 30%. They open the door and leave it hang open for like a long time.
Yeah,
when I was a kid, my dad had an idea that I still think was brilliant. He said, I'm going to invent a refrigerator with a glass door. I was like, that is such a great idea.
I think they have refrigerators with glass
they do.
doors.
You see them at convenience stores, but you don't usually see those at home. Next, remove the lint from the dryer of the filter, or the dryer filter. It says a dirty one increases your energy usage, and it makes it takes longer to dry your clothes. Next, take a look at your furniture arrangement. Make sure your vents and radiators are not blocked by sofas, chairs, and other items. And finally, if you'd like to have a home energy audit, the Home Energy Saver, they've got a link on here. I'm not even going to try to tell you. It's hes.lb.gov. Anyway, I'm going to put it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. And then you punch in the zip code, and it'll tell you the best ways to save energy in your neighborhood. So go check that out. Facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-259-7646. They have hundreds of channels to choose from, with many packages to fit your viewing desires. Learn more at 1-800-259-7646.
And we always like to end the program with some good news, right?
Always.
We always do.
Always.
It's not always easy, but sometimes we find things that are kind of good, and I think this is kind of good. It's not always easy to convince yourself to exercise after a long day of work, but according to Time Magazine, they have a report that says people who consistently manage to do this, to go out and exercise, might be using a simple trick, whether they realize it or not. A new study published in the Journal of Health Psychology found that the most consistent exercisers were those who made exercise part of their specific habit. And it's triggered by your own internal environmental cues. So that's saying if you convince yourself to exercise at the end of the day, and you do it no matter what, I'm going to do it, it's part of my routine, that's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Research says the only factor that predicted how often a person exercised over a long term was the strength of their habit. So if you easily go, I'll just do it another time, then that's probably not you. But if you say, I'm doing this no matter what, that's probably you.
Right.
Are we on that list?
No.
Probably not.
So we didn't exercise yesterday.
I come up with a really easy excuse no matter what, because you're like, hey, let's go for a walk. And I say, I'd love to, but it's just too sunny today. It's so bright. I don't want to squint while I'm walking.
I would.
I'd love to. It just seems way too hot. You're like, it's beautiful. Looks like a chance of rain. I better not do that today. Anyway, if you'd like to know more, again, Time Magazine has a report on that. And they say get out and walk. And it is a good thing to do, to do exercise of some sort. And that's something that we don't do a whole lot of. We don't do a ton of exercising, but we need to get better at it.
Yeah, we do, so we don't die in these chairs.
Yeah, I don't want to. I like it here, but I don't want this to be my final resting place.
I don't either.
I have a lot of places in the world I want to get out and see. You know, I'd like to know what it looks like outside of this place right here. What does it look like outside?
What does it look like out there?
I know.
It's nice.
Nice from here, but I think from out there it might be nice too. All right. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday. We appreciate you joining us.
Time now for the bonus break, only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio. I talk about these guys because I actually use their razors, and I absolutely love them. I got the new middle grade razors because I use the Executive Series, and then I signed up for some of the Humble Twin. And I've got the new ones. I haven't used them yet. So I'm going to have to do that and tell you how I like them. I'm looking forward to it.
You've had for a while,
I know.
You?
I gotta use them. I
think Troy might have been using them the other day. You'll have to ask him.
I will. I'll ask him what's going on. But anyway, if you'd like to know more, go to dollarshaveclub.com/radio and see how simple it is to get razors delivered to your door for just $3 a month. Last weekend in Toronto, a man was given a traffic ticket because he was driving with people on the roof of his car.
Ooh.
You know why he had people on the roof of his car?
Why?
Because every seat was taken, so they thought, well, let's just jump onto the roof. The car was filled to the brim with teenagers, and then they had more on top of the car. The man received a fine. Guess how much the fine was?
I have no idea.
Not enough, but it was $585. It should have been even more than that.
There's no way that's enough.
It should have been $1,000 or more.
Oh, my
because
goodness.
that is so dangerous. I mean, so dangerous. Another thing from Toronto. What is going on in Toronto? This one's also in Toronto. Last weekend, a man was given a ticket for driving 85 miles per hour with a flat tire. But he didn't know he had a flat tire. He didn't know that the lane was ending and drove onto the shoulder, all because he was distracted by a call that he was on, chatting it up.
Oh, my God.
He was charged with careless driving and fined $325 and 6 demeritus points to his license, where they take points off. I remember when we lived in Iowa, there was a point system there. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they still have that or not.
You were awfully close to losing yours.
You could get 3 points on your license, and if you got a 4th point, they took your license away.
Yep.
And I was in a club a very prestigious club called Always on 3. When I moved to the area, I got my first 3 points, like within a month and a half of being there. And then I was really good because they stay on for a year at a time. I was really good for the rest of that year. And then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I got a point. I can do whatever I want. I'm like, 55. I can go 60. I'm driving along at 60 and I get pulled over. I'm like, that was a bad idea. So I was always on 3.
John.
Remember that?
I do remember
and then I got
that. Sounds like you were going to lose your license.
I
and
thought
I'm going to
so
be
too.
driving your butt everywhere.
I said, that's fine. I love spending time with you, Heidi. And I'm going to share this because it's such a funny story. I got a seatbelt ticket because that was the other thing. In that state, they can give you a ticket just for not wearing a seatbelt. I'm from South Dakota. You don't get a ticket for that there. It's not a first offense thing. You need to be doing something else wrong.
Right.
Now, I'm going to first say this. Wear your seatbelt. I, of all people, should wear mine all the time because I had a seatbelt save my life. Absolutely, positively save my life. So, like a moron, didn't learn from my mistakes. I was driving down the road without a seatbelt, and I got pulled over, and this officer was super fast. Like, I got the vehicle stopped, I clicked it into park, and he was already at my window. I was amazed by this. So, on the radio the next morning, I was just mentioning the fact that I got pulled over, and I mentioned him by name. And I said, he's got to be the fastest policeman ever. Nothing negative. I said, he's got to be the fastest officer I've ever met.
You were teasing him.
No, I was just saying, he was super fast. Like, I clicked it into park, and he was there. I was like, I don't know if they let him wear tennis shoes or what they do, how he got there so fast, but that was nuts.
They let him wear tennis shoes.
I think he was wearing track shoes. I don't know. I didn't look. Anyway, I could have checked 2 days later because 2 days later I was getting gasoline at a gas station, and this officer pulled up and he wrote me a ticket. I said, "What is the ticket for?" He said, "For not wearing a seatbelt." And I said, "I'm pumping gas." He goes, "No, when you pulled in, you weren't wearing a seatbelt." And he said, "Talk about this one on the radio, smart Alec." And I was like, thank you. And the guy at the pump next to me was so mad and so mean. I'm like, I don't know this guy. I don't know who he is, because he was calling him every name in the book. And I did learn my lesson to not poke fun at an officer who can give me a ticket.
And
that was a bad idea.
Sadly, probably should have had some sort of a sense of humor.
Well, and the thing is, he didn't hear it because I said, I didn't say anything negative. He goes, I had several people tell me what you said. And I said, all I said is you ran up to the car fast. I said, I was actually impressed with it. So, and I really was. But I'm like, I won't talk about it on the radio.
Man.
That's why this is in the bonus break. Just in case. And I didn't say his name for two reasons. First of all, I don't remember it. But second of all, even if I did, I wouldn't say it. I have to drive through that town once in a while. So, all right, this has definitely been our bonus break, and it's done. It's brought to you by DollarShaveClub.com/radio.